Please don't forget to tell us the country you are watching from in the comments section, and also don't forget to subscribe to us as you do so. May God bless you so. The night was heavy and thick with silence, broken only by the distant howl of a lone dog echoing across the sprawling compound of a giant corporate empire. Behind the iron gates of the prestigious Obafemi Holdings, where luxury cars gleamed under the moonlight and security cameras silently watched every corner, a lone figure moved with quiet purpose. It was not the kind of figure anyone expected to see roaming the grounds. He wore a worn-out jacket and an old cap, his steps careful and measured. This was Ola, the heir to the vast Obafemi fortune, but tonight, he was just a poor security guard. A sudden flash of lightning tore through the sky, casting eerie shadows that danced along the high walls. The rain began to fall, cold and relentless, pounding the earth and soaking the man to the bone. Yet, Ola did not hesitate. Tonight was not just any night. Tonight, a secret mission began, one born out of desperation and hope, one that would challenge everything he thought he knew about love, trust, and identity. Ola's heart pounded in his chest. For years, he had watched the world from behind the luxurious walls of his father's company, trapped in a golden cage. His father, Chief Obafemi, a man of iron will and towering power in Lagos's business circles, had built the company from the ground up, yet had never truly understood his son. Ola's upbringing was filled with strict rules and high expectations, but love, real love, had always been absent. He had seen women come and go, drawn like moths to the flame of wealth and influence, but none of them had ever looked beyond the surface. The daughter of a rival businessman, a socialite with 1,000 smiles, or an ambitious assistant seeking connections, all had treated him as nothing more than the son of a billionaire. No one saw Ola, the man inside. That burning loneliness led him to a bold idea, a plan whispered to him by the spirits of his ancestors and fueled by the vibrant tales his grandmother told him as a child. If no one would love Ola for who he was, perhaps he would find love by becoming someone else, a poor man, a humble guardian of the gates. It was risky, foolish maybe, but it was the only way. And so, he shed the silk suits and fine watches, discarded the keys to luxury cars, and donned the tattered uniform of a security guard, blending in with the countless workers who made the company run. His heart was heavy, but there was a flicker of hope deep inside, a hope that this disguise would reveal a truth he longed to find. But as the rain fell harder and the wind howled through the empty streets, a strange feeling crept over him, a sense that this night was not just the beginning of his journey, but the start of something far bigger, something that would shake the foundations of his world. Behind the tall walls, under the watchful eyes of the night, secrets stirred. Whispers from the past echoed in the cold breeze, and the old cola nut tree in the company's courtyard seemed to watch silently, its ancient branches holding stories of love, betrayal, and destiny. Ola took a deep breath and stepped forward, his eyes fixed on the company's main entrance. This was no ordinary night. Tonight, he would cross the line between privilege and poverty, between truth and deception, to find the love he had never known. Little did he know, the path ahead would be filled with unexpected trials, friendships forged in fire, betrayals that cut deeper than knives, and moments of joy that would heal wounds thought permanent. This was the beginning of a story where wealth meant nothing, and the heart held the ultimate power. As he approached the security post, a faint silhouette appeared near the gate, a woman, her face partially hidden under a simple headscarf. She moved with grace, but there was a sadness in her eyes that spoke of hard times and broken dreams. Ola felt an unfamiliar pull toward her, a gentle tug on his soul. Who was she? What was her story? And how would she change the course of his life forever? The rain blurred the city lights behind her as she paused and looked around nervously. A flicker of fear passed across her face, but she stepped forward, determined. Ola, still hidden behind his guard's uniform, knew this encounter was the first thread in a tapestry that would bind them together, woven with the colors of hope, pain, and truth. Tonight, the walls of Obafemi Holdings would not only protect power and money, they would guard secrets, dreams, and the fragile beginnings of love. The dawn broke slowly over Lagos, painting the sky with hues of soft orange and deep purple, as if the city itself hesitated to wake from its restless slumber. The air was thick with the scent of wet earth and freshly brewed coffee from nearby street vendors. But inside the walls of Obafemi Holdings, a different kind of awakening was stirring. Ola, now disguised as a security guard, stood tall and steady at his post near the main gate. The uniform was rough on his skin, the cap a little too large, and his hands, once accustomed to the smooth touch of leather gloves and expensive pens, now trembled slightly as he adjusted the badge pin to his chest. He was a stranger here, not the son of a wealthy man, but a humble guardian entrusted with watching over a world he had never truly been part of. The security compound was alive with the chatter and laughter of the other guards. Men with deep voices, strong hands, and stories etched into their faces. They welcomed him with curious eyes, sizing up the newcomer. Ola smiled quietly, careful not to reveal anything beyond his carefully crafted disguise. He had prepared for this moment for months, learning how to move like them, speak their language, and carry the weight of their lives. For Ola, this was more than a role. It was a journey to understand the world beyond money, beyond power. As the shift began, Ola noticed the rhythm of life around him. Drivers backing up to unload crates, cleaners sweeping the wide marble floors, secretaries hurrying with files tucked under their arms. The pulse of the company beat not only in the boardrooms but in every small task performed by those unseen by the world. Among the crowd was the woman from the night before, the mysterious figure by the gate. Today, her headscarf was brighter, woven with traditional patterns of deep reds and golden yellows, and her eyes held a fierce determination. She moved with purpose, her footsteps light but steady. Ola learned she was Amina, a young woman from a nearby village who had come to the city chasing dreams. Her family had struggled to make ends meet, and she worked as a junior assistant in the company's administrative office. The harsh city life had carved hard lines on her face, but her spirit was unbroken. For Ola, meeting Amina was like a breath of fresh air. There was no pretense between them. No golden crowns or heavy expectations. Just two souls, navigating the complex maze of the city. Throughout the day, Ola watched her from afar. He saw how she smiled at the janitor who joked with her, how she helped a lost visitor find their way, and how she kept her head held high despite the subtle dismissals from some wealthy employees. She carried herself with pride and humility, qualities Ola had never witnessed among the privileged circles he belonged to. But his secret was a heavy burden. Every moment he feared being discovered. What if his father or the other executives found out that the billionaire's son was masquerading as a security guard? Would they laugh? Be angry? Or worse, stop him? Ola's mind was a storm of thoughts, but his heart was steady. He had come here to find something real, something lasting. The loneliness of his former life had become unbearable, and this new path, though uncertain, gave him hope. As the sun climbed higher, a sudden commotion broke the calm of the compound. A senior executive's car had a flat tire near the entrance, and the men rushed to help. Ola stepped forward instinctively, offering his assistance. The other guards nodded in approval, welcoming his willingness to help. While changing the tire, Ola caught the eye of a few workers who had never spoken to him before. Their faces held surprise, but also a quiet respect. Here was a man who did not just stand at his post but was ready to get his hands dirty for others. Later that afternoon, a subtle tension rippled through the company. Rumors of an impending audit and restructuring spread like wildfire. Some workers whispered anxiously, fearing for their jobs. Others remained silent, eyes fixed on the distant skyline, lost in their own worries. Ola understood the weight of uncertainty. In his previous life, money could fix problems, smooth over rough edges. But here, in this fragile world of everyday survival, money was no shield. The people depended on each other, on trust and solidarity. That evening, as the sky turned indigo and the city lights blinked awake, Ola found himself near the ancient kola nut tree in the company courtyard. The tree, revered by his ancestors, was a symbol of peace, unity, and the sacred bond between people. He remembered the words his grandmother had told him. The kola nut is the bridge that connects the past, the present, and the future. It teaches us patience and respect, for only when broken and shared does it reveal its true sweetness. Ola reached out and touched the rough bark, grounding himself in the wisdom of those who came before. This was not just a game or a disguise. It was a test of character, a journey of self-discovery that transcended wealth and status. As night settled once more, he returned to his small rented room far from the luxury of his family home. The thin mattress and simple furniture were a stark contrast to the silk sheets and polished marble he once knew. But here, there was freedom, the freedom to be himself, without masks or expectations. He pulled out a small photo from his pocket, a picture of his mother, who had passed away when he was a child. Her smile, warm and gentle, reminded him why he embarked on this path. Ola whispered a silent prayer for strength, for courage, and for the chance to find the love his heart longed for, a love that could see beyond riches and titles, a love that could embrace the man beneath the uniform. Little did he know, the days ahead would bring moments of joy and heartbreak, challenges that would test his soul, and friendships that would shape his destiny. For in this vast city, beneath the shining towers and behind the guarded gates, a story was unfolding, a story about the true meaning of love, identity, and the courage to change. Days melted into weeks as Ola settled into his new life behind the security post, far removed from the glittering halls of his father's empire. Each morning greeted him with the same familiar chorus. The calls of street hawkers, the distant rumble of traffic, and the chatter of workers arriving to face their daily battles. But for Ola, every day was a revelation. He observed the rhythm of the company through the eyes of those who rarely caught the notice of the elite. The janitors who swept tirelessly to keep the marble floors gleaming, the cafeteria ladies who served meals with tired smiles, and the delivery men who carried crates heavy with promises. Each person carried a story, a dream, a struggle unknown to the executives cloistered in glass offices high above. Among these humble workers, Ola found something unexpected: respect. Not born from wealth or title, but from shared effort and quiet dignity. One afternoon, as the sun cast long shadows over the courtyard, Ola was called by Bayo, the veteran security chief. Bayo was a large man with a voice like thunder and a heart as deep as the Niger River. His weathered face told stories of battles fought and victories won, and his eyes carried wisdom tempered by years. "You carry yourself well, boy," Bayo said, clapping a heavy hand on Ola's shoulder. "But remember, this job is more than watching gates. It is about protecting people, even when no one sees." Ola nodded solemnly. He understood that every uniform, no matter how humble, held responsibility. It was a lesson his grandmother had once taught him through the ancient proverbs of their Yoruba heritage. "Omo tia ko, niubl tia koje," she had said, "a child who is not taught will destroy the house that was built." Those words now echoed in Ola's mind, reminding him that knowledge and humility were the foundations of true strength. As days passed, Ola grew closer to the workers. He shared their laughter and their worries. He learned of Amina's childhood, growing up in a small village near Ibadan, where her family farmed yams and raised goats. She spoke of her mother's struggles and her father's pride, and how she had left everything behind to seek a better life in the city. Though they came from different worlds, Ola and Amina found common ground in their hopes and fears. She admired his willingness to live among them without the shield of wealth, while he marveled at her resilience and kindness. One evening, after a long shift, the workers gathered under the kola nut tree for their evening prayers, a ritual passed down from their ancestors. They broke the kola nut into pieces, sharing it as a symbol of unity and goodwill. Ola was invited to join, and as he tasted the bittersweet nut, he felt a warmth spreading through his chest, a connection to something greater than himself. That night, as the city lights flickered, Ola realized that love was not just about grand gestures or wealth. It was in the small moments, shared smiles, helping hands, and the courage to be vulnerable. Yet, the shadows of his true identity loomed. Each day brought the risk of exposure. He watched as gossip began to swirl among the staff. Who was this quiet, hard-working new guard? Rumors mingled with curiosity. At the same time, the company was preparing for a major board meeting. Chief Obafemi was busy making deals and securing contracts, unaware of the double life his son was leading just beyond his reach. One afternoon, Ola overheard a tense conversation between two senior managers discussing layoffs and cost cuts. The news sent a chill through the workers, threatening their fragile hopes. Ola felt a surge of protectiveness. Though he wore a guard's uniform, his heart beat for these people. He began to think of ways to help, small acts of kindness, a word of encouragement, sharing his lunch, or standing up for a colleague unfairly treated. But most of all, he longed for a moment with Amina, to tell her the truth, to reveal the man behind the mask. Yet fear held him back. Would she accept him if she knew? Or would the truth shatter the fragile bond they had built? The city around them continued its relentless pace. Vendors shouted their wares, cars honked impatiently, and life moved forward with the urgency of the drums in a distant festival. And amidst it all, Ola learned that love was a journey, often tangled, sometimes painful, but always worth the risk. He carried with him the wisdom of his ancestors, the strength of his family, and the hope for a future where he could be both Ola the son of a billionaire and Ola the man who loved without pretense. The road ahead was uncertain, but for the first time in his life, he walked it with purpose and courage. The city of Lagos pulsed with life. Its streets alive with the calls of market traders, the hum of cars, and the laughter of children playing beneath the watchful gaze of the evening sun. But inside the walls of Obafemi Holdings, a quieter storm brewed. Ola's secret weighed heavily on him now. Each day behind the security post was a careful balancing act, a dance between two worlds. On one side was the glittering legacy of his father's empire, built on power and prestige. On the other was the raw, honest life of the workers, filled with struggles and hopes that money could not erase. His heart longed for honesty, but fear kept his lips sealed. What if Amina discovered the truth and felt betrayed? What if his father's world collided violently with this new life he was building? One morning, as the sun rose over the city's skyline, Ola noticed a change in Amina. The usual spark in her eyes was dimmed, replaced by worry. She moved more quietly, her laughter less frequent. Later that day, he learned the reason. The company was considering layoffs. Some workers might lose their jobs. The news rippled through the halls, bringing fear and uncertainty. Ola felt a deep ache. These were people he had come to care for, friends who had shared their lives with him. He realized that true power was not in money or titles but in standing with others during their darkest moments. He sought advice from Bayo, the security chief, who had become a mentor and friend. Bayo spoke with the wisdom of one who had lived through hardship. In our culture, Bayo said, we say, Ima je ki amasai fi okanadura sile. It means, not knowing should not stop us from having faith. We do not control the future, but we can control how we face it. Ola took these words to heart. He began organizing small gatherings among the workers, encouraging them to support one another. He used his position to relay concerns to management, trying to be a bridge between two worlds often kept apart. At night, when the city settled and the stars peered down like ancient eyes, Ola found comfort beneath the kola nut tree. It was here that he allowed himself to dream freely, to imagine a life where love was honest, where he was accepted for who he truly was. Amina noticed his changed demeanor. One evening, she approached him quietly, her voice soft but steady. She spoke of her own fears and dreams, of family left behind, and the sacrifices she made to survive in the city. Their shared vulnerability deepened their bond, weaving threads of trust between them. Ola knew that one day he would have to tell her the truth. But for now, he held on to the moment, cherishing the fragile happiness growing between them. Meanwhile, in the grand offices high above the compound, Chief Obafemi prepared for the board meeting that would decide the fate of many lives. His son's disappearance from the social spotlight had not gone unnoticed, and whispers of rebellion stirred among the elite. Yet, the old man remained focused on power and profit, unaware that his son walked among the very people he might soon dismiss. As the day of reckoning approached, Ola felt the pressure mounting. The secrets he kept, the lies he told to protect himself and those he cared about, were like chains tightening around his soul. But in his heart, the wisdom of his ancestors gave him strength. The kola nut's bitter sweetness was a reminder that life's challenges must be faced with courage and humility. Ola was learning that love was not simply about passion or wealth. It was about sacrifice, honesty, and the bravery to stand for what was right, even when the world seemed determined to keep him apart from the truth. The next chapter of his journey was about to unfold, and with it, the chance to change not only his destiny but the fate of those he loved. The sun rose slowly over Lagos, casting long shadows across the bustling city. Inside Obafemi Holdings, the air was thick with tension. Word of the upcoming board meeting and potential layoffs had spread like wildfire, igniting fear and uncertainty among the workers. The hum of whispered conversations filled the corridors and security posts. Ola, now deeply entwined with the lives of those around him, felt the weight of responsibility settle heavily on his shoulders. He had come seeking love and truth, but he was beginning to understand that true courage meant standing up for others, even when the cost was great. That morning, the security team gathered early beneath the shade of the kola nut tree for their daily prayers and reflection. Bayo, the seasoned chief, led the ceremony with solemn reverence, breaking the kola nut with careful hands, sharing it among the men as a symbol of unity and strength. Ola participated fully, feeling the sacred ritual connect him not only to his colleagues but also to the rich heritage of his people. The kola nut, bitter yet nourishing, was a reminder that life's challenges were intertwined with blessings, and that community could offer support even in the darkest times. After the prayer, Ola took a moment to speak quietly with Amina. Their eyes met, sharing a silent understanding. Though the future was uncertain, they found comfort in each other's presence, a beacon of hope amid the storm. As the day wore on, the mood grew heavier. Workers moved with anxious steps, clutching pay slips and discussing what might come next. Ola made his rounds, offering words of encouragement and listening with a patient heart. But within the boardroom, a different battle raged. Chief Obafemi sat at the head of the polished mahogany table, flanked by his most trusted advisors. His sharp eyes scanned the faces before him. Executives poised to protect their interests, shareholders demanding profit, and voices urging ruthless cuts. The old man's mind was a fortress of tradition and ambition. To him, business was survival, a game where only the strongest endured. Yet beneath his stern exterior, a flicker of doubt stirred. His son's absence weighed on him more than he would admit. Outside, Ola watched from afar, a silent guardian. The world he once knew and the world he now embraced seemed to move on separate paths, destined to collide. That evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Ola returned to his modest room. He lit a small lamp and pulled out a worn journal, where he had begun to write down his thoughts, notes about the people he met, the lessons he learned, and the growing love he felt for Amina. To be continued. Watch out for part 2. Please don't forget to tell us which country you are watching from in the comments section. Part 2 coming out soon.